All right, let's talk about Zinfandel. We're going to crack the code on one of wine's most, let's be honest, confusing grapes. If you've ever been completely baffled by this wine, you are in exactly the right place. You know the feeling, right? You grab a bottle of Zin, you think you know what you're getting, and then it's the complete opposite of what you expected. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not you, it's the grape. It has this incredible versatility, and today we're going to figure out exactly why. And most importantly, how you can always pick the style you actually love.
So, how are we going to do this? Here's the game plan. First, we'll dive into Zinfandel's split personality. Then we'll clearly define the two major styles it splits into. After that, I'm going to give you a super practical 5-point checklist to use in the store. And stick around, because at the end, we'll uncover a really surprising twist about Merlot that explains a whole lot about why we like what we like.
Okay, let's jump right in with the most important idea, the one that unlocks everything else we're going to talk about. Zinfandel isn't just one thing. It's a true shapeshifter. Here's the thing you've got to remember. Zinfandel's inconsistency isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's its superpower. You see, more than almost any other red grape, its final taste can be pushed in wildly different directions based on where it's grown and what the winemaker decides to do. And that sensitivity, that is the secret to cracking the Zinfandel Code. So all this sensitivity basically creates two totally distinct personalities in the bottle. And a really helpful way to think about them is as Merlot-like and Cabernet-like. Let's break down what that actually means when you're taking a sip. And wow, the difference is night and day. On one side, you've got that Merlot-like style. It's all about bright red fruits like cherries and raspberries, lots of perfumed floral aromas, and just a softer, rounder feel in your mouth. But on the other side, you've got the Cabernet-like style, which is just a total powerhouse. We're talking deep, dark fruits like blackberry, spicy notes of pepper and licorice, and a much bigger, bolder structure.
So what's behind this drastic difference? Well, it all boils down to these 4 key things. That elegant Merlot-like style, that comes from grapes picked a little earlier, grown in cooler climates, with less oak and a lower alcohol content. The bold Cabernet-like style is the complete opposite. Super ripe grapes from hot climates, aged in plenty of new oak, which pushes that alcohol content way up to 15% or even higher.
Okay, so understanding the why is great, but now for the really good stuff. Let's turn all that knowledge into a practical tool you can actually use in the wine aisle. This is your 5-point checklist for decoding any bottle of Zinfandel before you spend a dime on it.
Listen, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. The alcohol percentage is your single best friend. Seriously, if you see a Zinfandel that's 15% or higher, it is almost guaranteed to be in that bold, dark, Cabernet-like style. If it's below 14%, you're risking a run-in with that lighter, perfumed profile. It's that simple. But hey, the alcohol is just step 1. If you want to be extra sure, here's the full checklist. First, always check that alcohol percentage. It's your number 1 clue. Second, look at the region, because hotter climates almost always mean bolder wine. Third, actually read the tasting notes on the label for keywords. Fourth, see if there are any clues about oak usage. More oak means a bigger style. And finally, if you can, get to know the producers. Some wineries are just famous for always going big and bold.
All right, let's talk a bit more about that second clue, because it is a big one. Just like with how ripe the grapes get, where a Zinfandel is grown has a massive impact on how it ends up tasting. And here's your cheat sheet for that. Hotter regions like Lodi, Paso Robles, and Amador County, those are pretty safe bets for that big, bold style. They just consistently produce powerful, ripe zins. Now, cooler areas like the Russian River Valley or parts of Sonoma Valley, that's where you're much more likely to find that perfumed style. So just be careful if that's what you're trying to avoid. You know, winemakers pretty much tell you what's in the bottle right on the label. So pay attention to the words they use. If you see words like blackberry, jammy, or pepper, you're on the right track for a bold zin. But if you see fresh cherry, floral, or elegant, that's your signal to maybe put it back on the shelf. That's basically code for the lighter, perfumed style. Okay, now for a really fascinating twist in the story. We keep calling that lighter style Merlot-like, right? But why does that specific profile even exist, and why do so many people seem to like it? Well, the answer, believe it or not, lies in the history of Merlot itself. This quote just nails it. It's basically saying that our preference for these soft, perfumed red wines isn't some natural choice we all made.
Nope, it's a taste that we were conditioned to have, shaped by decades of mass-market winemaking.
So how did this happen? Well, back in the 90s, Merlot was everywhere. It was marketed as the ultimate safe red wine, soft and easy to drink. Then in 2004, the movie Sideways came out and famously trashed it. All the serious winemakers fled, leaving the grape to be produced mostly in that simple, perfumed fruit bomb style. And that created a legacy that trained millions of wine drinkers.
And this brings us all the way back to Zinfandel. The reason so many of us might instinctively reach for that lighter, perfumed style is because it feels familiar, it's comfortable, it gives us those soft cherry notes without any of that challenging bitterness or tannin, which is exactly what the big Merlot boom conditioned us to expect from a good red wine.
So here's the big takeaway. If you find yourself really enjoying that softer, Merlot-like Zinfandel, it's not some random thing. You're tasting the decades-long echo of a marketing decision made a long time ago. It is, quite literally, history in a glass.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Now that you have the tools, now that you can decode the label and actually choose the style you want, the next time you reach for a bottle, you can ask yourself, am I picking this because it's what I've been taught to like, or because it's what I've actually decided I love? The choice now is all yours. Pretty interesting thing to think about.